bringing about 1. Mechanization, especially in the textile industry. 2. Improved means of transportation, specifically steamships and steam locomotives. 3. Urbanization, with many moving from rural to urban regions to work in factories. Eventually, these industries matured, and by the middle of the 19th century, the pace of innovation slowed down. However, toward the end of the 19th century, the second industrial revolution emerged, one that would last until the beginning of World War I in 1914, characterized by 1. New ways to use energy, with the internal combustion engine and, of course, electricity in the spotlight. 2. Remarkably easier communication, thanks to the telegraph and, as of 1876, also the telephone. 3. Diversified mass production thanks in no small part to widespread steel usage, culminating with Henry Ford's first moving assembly line in 1913 for the production of the Model T. Economically and socially speaking, the revolutions generated immense change, such as A. Workforce migration from rural to urban areas, from agriculture to factories. B. Fear that technology would generate job loss, and even protests such as the destruction of weaving machines by Luddites in the 19th century. C. Not just mass production, but also, of course, mass consumption and the resulting increase in living standards. All in all, jobs were indeed destroyed in sectors like agriculture, but more than enough new ones were created, paving the way for future revolutions.
So I hope the video was clear, and the link is also there in the slide, so you can see that later. So from this video, what we could find that first industrial revolution and the second industrial revolution, the transition was mainly because of the Ford Motor Company, and then it revolutionized the remaining part of the uh, industry. So we'll come back to the presentation part now. So that's what we have seen in this, that rural to urban migration, and we've seen investment in new technologies was coming, mass production of goods. We will talk about mass production in detail a bit ahead. Yeah, so factory system was developed, and it replaced the domestic system of production. Domestic system of production basically implies the uh, cottage industries. And yeah, it was faster because of the mechanization. Workers were concentrated in set location, leading to urbanization and urban agglomeration. जैसे होता है हमारे यहाँ पे भी आप देखेंगे इंडिया में. So if you look at few cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, there like you can count on hands that how many places are there where you can expect to get a job. Okay, so that's basically because of the factory system. And why that happens is because an ecosystem is formed. For example, if you look at Gurgaon, it has become an automobile manufacturing hub for the simple reason that all the facilities which are required to do automobile production, the raw material requirements, um, the 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 suppliers like steel is being supplied, so it's going to come from south. Now, often since many automobile manufacturers are located, it is convenient for the steel manufacturer also to supply the steel at that location, or Jindal Steel, it's still in Faridabad. So it's easier for them to ship at one place, and meanwhile they can drop if they have to. They can get a lot of economies of scale. Economies of scale एक word है. अब मैं आपको इसके बारे में समझाता हूँ थोड़ा. Economies of scale. For example, let's say in your household you consume 10 soaps in a month. Okay, and the cost of one soap is, let's say, 50 rupees. So total cost of the soaps is 500 rupees. And if you go to purchase this soap to a nearby shop, it costs like 5 rupees petrol. Okay, so you got two choices now. Either you go and purchase all the 10 soaps together for a month, or every time the soap is finished you go and purchase it. Okay, so what do you think is a better option? Together, purchasing it together, or one at a time?
Together.
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 Yeah, together. So, what is the cost when I'm purchasing it together? It will be around 550 rupees. Okay. But if I'm purchasing it one at a time, then the cost will be 500.
500.
If you
505.
505 if you are purchasing all together, and 550 if you are purchasing one at a time. Okay. So the difference of 45 rupees which is coming is basically because you had purchased in bulk, so your per unit cost of transportation is saved when you are doing it in bulk. Okay. Similarly, if you go to Sabzi Mandi and all, or like you go to purchase bananas and then you ask the guy what is the cost. So if you say to him, I'll purchase 3 kg instead of 1 kg, the cost is going to be different. So that's called economies of scale. That's all. This basic principle is that there are two type of cost: fixed cost and the variable cost. Variable cost depends on how much. Variable cost is basically dependent on the number of units you are producing. So larger the number of units you are going to produce, the cost will vary proportionally. But there is fixed cost. Whether you produce 1 unit or you produce 10 units, the cost is going to remain same. Fixed cost has several components like transportation cost, ordering cost, clerical cost, or setup cost. All these things. सेटअप कॉस्ट मींस आप अगर एक बार मशीन को चलाएंगे, एक बार मशीन को सेटअप करने में आपको 50 मिनट लगते हैं, राइट? अब आप उसको चला के 1 यूनिट निकालेंगे या उसको चला के 100 यूनिट्स निकालेंगे, सो वो कॉस्ट सेम आएगी. ओके, सो that's the basic meaning of economies of scale. So because economies of scale exist, तो जितना ज्यादा क्वांटिटी में आप बनाते हैं तो आपको उतना ही कॉस्ट कम पड़ती है, because your fixed cost is split across the larger number of units. Okay, so that's why this production, or you can say factory production system, came into being, where you are going to produce large number of units of the similar kind of product. And for the same reason, workers are work all these urban agglomeration, और जो हम देखते हैं कि एक ही जगह पे सारी इंडस्ट्रीज इकट्ठी हो जाती हैं, वो भी by and large the reason is that your skills are concentrated in those places, your facilities are concentrated in those places, the cost of operating becomes very less and it becomes economically feasible too. That's why इस तरीके के clusters develop होते हैं. Okay. The fourth point is production anticipated demand. पहले क्या होता था? I mean, during first industrial revolution आप बोल लीजिए, जो mechanization था still, but अगर आपको कार चाहिए तो आपको बताना पड़ेगा आपको कार मिलेगी. Okay. So that is something you are not anticipating. The people have to, like tailor है. So if you get your clothes stitched, okay, so it's not like वो anticipate कर रहा है कि कितने लोग आएंगे, वो पहले से ही अपने थ्रेड्स या जो भी आप मांग रहे हैं, जो भी आपकी रिक्वायरमेंट है, वो पहले से इकट्ठी करके रखता है. नहीं, आप बोलेंगे उसके बाद रेडी होगा वो. So that is a different scenario. But the scenario over here is that production anticipated the demand. मतलब पहले से ही वो मान के चल रहे हैं कि इतनी डिमांड होगी, फिर वो प्रोड्यूस करना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं. So that is production anticipated demand. For example, under the domestic system, a woman might select a fabric and have business person give it to home-based worker to make into a dress. Okay, so ये जो मैंने आपको बात बताई है टेलर वाली, so it is the same thing. तो वो टेलर तो पहले से नहीं लेके बैठा होगा सब. Okay, but under the factory system, the factory owner brings large lots of popular fabrics. तो आपकी जो रेडीमेड शर्ट्स एंड टी शर्ट्स हैं, वो पॉपुलर फैब्रिक्स लेके रखते हैं पहले से, and then they have workers which create multiple dresses of common size. So आप टेलर से अगर आप स्टिच कराएंगे तो वो एग्जैक्टली आप ही के साइज का बना देगा, बट हम रेडीमेड लेते हैं तो हमको लार्ज, मीडियम, स्मॉल, एक्सएल, डबल एक्सएल, इस तरीके के साइजेस मिलते हैं. सो दीज आर कॉमन साइजेस, और यू कैन से सम स्टैंडर्ड साइजेस. So standardization also brings down the cost because of the economies of scale. And they anticipate that the women are going to buy them. Okay, so that's, I hope you understand the difference between the two scenarios over here. One was we are anticipating something and we are producing in large quantities so that we can get economies of scale and produce at a lower cost. You can imagine the kind of t-shirts we purchase. Even like you can get good t-shirts in 200-250 rupees, but if you get them stitched, you try that, or a t-shirt for say if you get it stitched, लिविंग असाइड ब्रांड लगने के बाद उसकी वैल्यू बढ़ जाती है शर्ट्स की या जो भी आपके क्लोथ्स हैं. लेट्स से वी टॉक अबाउट ब्रांड एक्स विच इज वी नॉट ब्रांड वैल्यू हटा देते हैं हम, ब्रांड की जो कॉस्ट है उसको हटा दें अगर हम, तो जो रेडीमेड फैब्रिक आपको जो आप परचेज कर रहे हैं मार्केट से, उसकी कॉस्ट अगर कंपेयर करेंगे टेलर से बनवाने में वो बहुत कम पड़ेगी. ओके, सो that's the difference between the we can say customized production system and factory system. So this is the Henry Ford with Model T. Although it looks ugly right now, we have got very good looking cars, but let's say this is the genesis of the automobile production. So these are some news clippings where you can see the 10 millionth of the produce, and then the attraction of Model T was that its price never increased. It kept on going down as the production kept on going up. So, and top speed was even 45 kilometers per hour, so which is basically like the electric bike जो आती है market में उसके जितनी speed है. And I think you've already seen this in the video as well, but some facts we can see that it costed only $1,200 and 19. You can see that the cost was drastically reduced from 1909 to 1928, like in a span of not even 20 years. I mean, let's say, yeah, not even 20 years. The price was almost one fourth of this. And by 1929 they were producing 1 car per minute. Complete line of Model Ts. So Model T के कुछ variants यहाँ पे दिखाए गए हैं. So and then for later then it was adopted in meat assembly line, cleaning and all those things. You can see it's happening. So this production model was adopted by this animal farming and all. Then moving assembly line, that time I've also shown you latest assembly line of Maruti Swift Desire in the other class. So this is a moving assembly line concept which you see over here. With this they are able to produce 1 car per minute. So mass production came into being where Ford invented the idea of using the assembly line. Nowadays if you look around yourself, I mean the laptop or the mobile phone which you see, which are very close to our hearts nowadays, so they are produced on assembly lines. Besides that, cars which are there, they are produced on assembly lines. The electronic or the electrical items like ovens which you have in your household, they are produced in assembly lines. You see fan, they are produced in assembly lines. The air conditioners, I'm just looking around myself and I'm just telling you that you can also look around yourself and see that how many things you have around you which are produced in assembly line. And because of the same reason of the items being produced in assembly line, we are able to afford that. We are able to have these items in our place. Had the mass production not been there, had the assembly line concept not been there, we would still be devoid of many of these things which we see around us. Okay, so the Ford was able to sell cars cheaply because they were mass produced and they used interchangeable parts. अब interchangeable का मैं आपको थोड़ा और बता देता हूँ. Just give me a second.
While America debated issues of states' rights, a basic change took place in the way goods were manufactured. Before 1798, mechanical devices from guns to clocks to locks were made by blacksmiths, one at a time by hand. As a result, every mechanical device was unique. But in 1798, the inventor of the cotton gin, Eli Whitney, developed a new manufacturing method based on making nearly identical devices built with interchangeable parts. Whitney came up with his new method while filling a rush order for 10,000 guns called muskets for the U.S. military. The new muskets had a big advantage over older models because they could be easily repaired. Not only that, the new guns could be manufactured a lot faster than the old handmade models, and that was a big bonus during times of war. The concept of interchangeable parts led to the mass production of a wide range of mechanical devices. And as a result, American industry was soon revolutionized.
Interchangeable parts are components of machines that are mass-produced identically. This technological innovation was introduced by Eli Whitney, who is also the inventor of the famous cotton gin. The idea of interchangeable parts arose in 1789 after Whitney became involved in the manufacture of firearms. In that year, he had received a request from the government to produce 10,000 muskets within 2 years. The contract between Whitney and Oliver Ellsworth, the Secretary of the United States Treasury at the time, verifies the very deal that led to the invention of interchangeable parts. However, Whitney soon realized that the traditional method of manufacturing small arms would not help with processing the government's request on time. Because an individual was responsible for the entirety of a product, the need for specialized and individualized work and skills demanded much time. Also, due to the uniqueness of each product, it was hard to repair a part of a machine with that of another, as there was no standardization among products of the same kind. To resolve these issues, Whitney devised interchangeable parts, which greatly affected America during and after the market revolution. Interchangeable parts brought along important changes to the manufacturing system of America. Because individuals were now focused on only completing one task instead of creating.
Is it audible? Was it audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
A
Yes,
entire
sir.
Yes,
product, the whole process of making goods became quicker. This was advantageous to America, as during times of war, America could quickly manufacture arms, which played an important part in national security. Moreover, goods were now all standardized, meaning that they were of uniform size and shape, and that a component of a certain machine could be used for another machine of the same kind. This made it easier to repair goods as well. Due to the fact that goods were being produced on a massive scale, the price of goods also became more affordable. Because standardization of goods led to a more homogeneous society, the quality of goods were now guaranteed to the consumer, meaning that they did not have to give up the quality of a good for a cheaper price. Thus, the standardization of goods led to goods getting cheaper, positively impacting the American economy, especially for consumers. On the other hand, this kind of mass production led to de-skilling among the workers, as they were only expected to work on a certain part of a machine rather than meticulously crafting a product of their own. This caused a cultural shift from a skill-based manufacturing society to an efficiency-based system where individual skills were not as highlighted as they were before. The short-term effects of Whitney's innovation was that the economy of America could thrive as it could export more goods quicker, could suddenly repair goods more easily, and could provide the muskets that the federal government has requested faster than any other manufacturers. These short-term effects also affected the long-term effects, allowing America to continuously produce goods at a quick rate and support the national economy. However, the descaling of workers, which could have been overlooked during the revolution due to the invention's novel qualities, resulted in high unemployment, the status quo, as more and more companies turned to mechanized labor to produce goods. Still, the introduction of interchangeable parts has brought good long-term effects to the American society. Here are some examples of how Whitney's invention of interchangeable parts made a lasting impact to the American society. On the left is a machine made from using interchangeable parts. On the right is the well-known assembly line of Ford. It is reasonable to say that interchangeable parts acted as the precedent for the assembly line, as the line was also aimed at fast and efficient mass production that guaranteed good quality goods for a cheaper price to the customers. To the present day, America relies on the same kind of manufacturing system to meet the demands of the consumers, and it is through this system that more people can have access to affordable goods. By examining the role that the interchangeable parts played in the American society and the changes that brought to the manufacturing system during the market revolution, it could be said that Whitney's invention of interchangeable parts positively impacted the American economy and society since the market revolution, allowing the United States to advance technologically. Although not explicit, what is interesting about the introduction of interchangeable parts is that it emphasized the idea of time in the American society as manufacturers aim to produce high-quality goods at a quicker rate. The introduction of time was fairly new to the workers, as the workers were no longer receiving wage based on how much they have accomplished, but rather how many hours they have worked. In this way, interchangeable parts.
In this course, we will be taking up this issue in a larger way, where you see
Workers, as the workers.
So how a worker has to be rated, what should be the wages of the worker working in a mass production, and how work can be standardized, in what ways the work can be done. So this point is a central point of this course. So that's why this was important, and I've shown you this video. Interchangeability, the requirement of interchangeability itself is that people start working in standard ways. So standardization of work, and how much time does this particular work takes place, and can we break any work into some standard components. That's what the whole idea of this course, I mean, not the complete you can say premise is this, but that there may be other components also. We'll add that later.
Were no longer receiving wage based on how much they have accomplished, but rather how many hours they have worked.
The book we are referring to is work study by ILO. What is ILO? Anyone? What is ILO? International Labour Organization. Okay. So some standards which have been laid by ILO, and we'll be dealing with that part in a larger way.
In this way, interchangeable parts affected the American society in a whole new way. Also, interchangeable parts allowed the mass production of mechanized devices, and this contributed to the soon-to-be revolutionized American industry.
Yeah, so that was about interchangeability. I hope you would have understood it now, but one thing that we can establish is that Industrial Revolution, especially Industrial Revolution 2, is largely attributed to two main things: assembly line and interchangeability. And which comes first, interchangeability or assembly line among the two? Which comes first?
Interchangeability.
Yeah. So these are the two main pillars on which the Industrial Revolution 2 stood up. Okay. Now we'll continue. By producing large number of cars on assembly line, Ford needed few skilled workers, and that led to job losses at that time. But then it also promoted people gaining and developing new skills. Like if there were job losses because of the mechanization, it eventually lead. That's what's happening now also, that we are getting challenges from artificial intelligence, that there's going to be job losses. Definitely there'll be job losses, but then there'll come a time or threshold where we'll move to another skill set. Okay, we'll develop different skill sets now to, I mean, that's how the wheel goes, or this is how the industry works, where certain technology breakthroughs come, there are job losses, but then we upgrade ourselves for the next technology, and then we go ahead with doing our jobs. Of course, there are some casualties and collateral damage during this, but then it eventually settles down for another 50-60 years. Yeah. Then there's a quote by Henry Ford that how would this have helped to cut the production cost? So any customer can have any color he likes for his car so long as it is black. So yeah, now it's a Henry Ford in 1925. So each man and each machine do only one thing. The thing is to keep everything in motion and take the work to the man and not the man to the work. These are some of his quotes, which are very popular and which signifies the growth of the industrial revolution too. So then automobile became part of day-to-day lives, and people started to move out, and vacationing become a thing where you don't have to actually take a public transport, but you just take your vehicle and move around. So it created a cycle of prosperity. Car industry created a cycle of prosperity, which we still see today. And that's why automobile industry is considered to be the center point of development of human civilization. Like mass production and standardization led to increased car sales. Then because of that, more standard parts are needed, because tens of thousands of parts are there in a car, and all those parts should be in standard dimensions. So more standard parts are needed. More jobs are created because of that in other industries, but of course they need skill. So that's what I was talking about. So unskilled worker, because of this only, you see now unskilled worker does not get paid much, while a skilled worker just sitting in a plush office and a white collar job get more money than a person who's not skilled. More jobs are created. Steel requirement, glass requirement, rubber requirement. So ancillary, or you can say supplying industries are created: steel, glass, rubber, leather. And more people with jobs means that they can afford to buy a car. So more cars are required. I mean, this is a vicious circle you can see. The more cars are required, and they are having money now, disposable money. So diners, like hotels and restaurants and motels and tourism industry developed because of that. And gas stations are there. So you can see, because of the one particular product or the growth of the car industry, so many other industries are proliferating. Then more oil is used and more roads are needed to build. So you can see now a vicious circle is built in which we live in today. And it was all started by Henry Ford. So historians have different views about Henry Ford, positive and negative both, because we have seen the effect of industrialization on the environment. We have seen the effect of industrialization on human social fabric. So I hope you understand that, and now you can realize that where is the genesis of this whole society in which we live in. So our production and cycle of prosperity, I'm just going to put some figures over here. Car production used to be 20% of America consume 20% of America's steel and 80% of its rubber and 75% of plate glass and 65% of leather. And by the end of 1920s, American cars used 7 billion gallons of petrol a year. So you can see the amount. And we are just means we were colonized by these people. So whatever they did, we considered that to be the prime or the purpose of life. So we are the developing nations soon followed, and that's what we see over here now in our neighborhood. Everyone's got a car, and there was a time when I was kid. There were one or two cars in our whole colony, and owning even a second-hand car was a big thing. Like everyone in your block would know that this guy has got a car. Okay, that was a big deal. And nowadays, even if you are having a 20-25 lakh car and moving around, nobody gives it a damn. Okay, so you see how things are changing. This helped to create jobs in oil industry and made the oil state of Texas rich. So oil industry developed, and this Model T was discontinued in 1927. Till then, so many units were produced, and it was a world record. It has not been broken yet. I have to see. I mean, with what happened to, Maruti 800 also could not reach this figure. And then Volkswagen Beetle is there, which but it's got beaten very late, in the sense that with various variants and all, you can see. It took almost, in this small, the time interval in which 1909 to 1927 or 28, the amount of units which were produced in the span of those 18-19 years, no car has been able to do that. Then there is another person, Frederick Winslow Taylor, or F.W. Taylor. He's an American mechanical engineer who sought to improve industrial efficiency, and he became the father of the scientific management, the MBA, which we know right now, or you can say that to a larger extent, even machine learning has got its root over here. So he's considered the father of the scientific management. And this course, industrial engineering, is totally based on scientific management. So you can see the seeds of this course were sown by F.W. Taylor. And this guy has made the kind of contribution which we still see in most of the industries, the way industries are run in current scenarios. We'll see this whole book is actually based on his principles only. So what is scientific management? So scientific systematic study of relationship between people and tasks for the purpose of redesigning the work process to increase efficiency. So अब आप मान लीजिए कि let's say in your household, you have जो basic chores होते हैं, like mopping है, cleaning है, dusting, mopping, या washing clothes and washing utensils. Okay, these are some regular jobs which are being done in your house. सबके घर में होता है ये. Some कईयों के 2 बार होता है, कईयों के 1 बार होता है, but then definitely होता है ये. अगर बोलेंगे हम हर काम के लिए आप एक अलग मेड लगाएंगे, लाइक वॉशिंग यूटेंसिल्स के लिए अलग मेड है, क्लीनिंग के लिए अलग है, डस्टिंग के लिए अलग है, एंड देन वॉशिंग के लिए अलग है मेड. सो how do I analyze whether I should have a one maid doing the same all the 4 or 5 chores, or different maids doing each of those chores? Okay, so now if you have to analyze this situation, you are going to use you will have something in mind कि भाई कैसे करेंगे, अब बताइए क्या चीज जज करेंगे आप? How will you judge this thing? Anyone? How can I judge it? मैंने आपको 2 सिनेरियो बताए हैं कि आपके जो घर के चोर्स हैं उसके लिए अलग अलग मेड्स लगाएं या एक ही मेड से सब करवाएंगे. सो हाउ डू यू एनालाइज दिस सिचुएशन? अगर इसको हम एक्चुअली में एनालाइज करना चाहें विदाउट जस्ट गोइंग विद आवर फीलिंग.
सर किस टाइम पे कौन सा काम करना है?
सैलरी इज वन ऑफ द. ओके, और
किस टाइम पे कौन सा काम करना है?
ओके, मान लीजिए आपके पास 3 कैंडिडेट हैं, ठीक है, हमने ये एस्टेब्लिश कर लिया कि एक ही जने से करना होता है आफ्टर डूइंग ऑल द कैलकुलेशंस। अब 3 जने हैं आपके पास, ठीक है, तो 3 जने में से कैसे सेलेक्ट करेंगे कि आप कौन काम करेगा ये?
सर जिसकी एफिशिएंसी ज्यादा है एंड कम सैलरी ले रहा हूँ।
जल्दी कई तरीके से हो सकता है बेटा ठीक है, तो इसमें एफिशिएंसी देखी जाएगी, बट आप एक उसको तरीका भी बताया जाएगा कि ये स्टैंडर्ड है हमारा, ये स्टैंडर्ड जो सबसे कम काम में, सबसे कम टाइम में और सबसे कम पैसे में कर देगा, उसी को हम सेलेक्ट कर लेंगे। ओके, सो ये जो मैंने यहाँ पे स्टेटमेंट लिखा है वो यही चीज दिखाता है। इट इज अ सिस्टमैटिक स्टडी ऑफ रिलेशनशिप्स बिटवीन पीपल एंड टास्क। ओके, टास्क क्या है? घर, cleaning and all those chores which I've told, people made for the purpose of redesigning the work process. Redesigning the work process मतलब पहले आप देखेंगे कि भाई what is the best way of cleaning, घर क्लीन करने का सबसे अच्छा तरीका क्या है? सबसे अच्छा तरीका है कि आपके घर में जो बच्चे हैं उनको आप एक कमरे में बंद करिए ठीक है, उसके बाद आप उसको क्लीनिंग स्टार्ट होगी। कहाँ से स्टार्ट होगी? कॉर्नर से स्टार्ट होगी। what will be the direction in which it should go? I mean, that's what we are going to do in this course. आप देखेंगे कि probably I'm going to ask you to do these kind of assignments जो आप खुद ही घर में implement करेंगे अपने to increase the efficiency. So efficiency का मतलब यही है कि doing the work in best possible way in the least possible cost. Okay, so this is scientific management and nowadays because हुआ क्या है इंडस्ट्री में, I tell you that प्रोडक्शन टेक्नोलॉजी की बात करेंगे, अगर हम, टेक्नोलॉजी इज ऑलरेडी एट इट्स पीक। अब कोई मेजर ब्रेक थ्रू चाहिए, ऑलमोस्ट सब दुनिया भर में सबके पास सिमिलर टेक्नोलॉजी हो चुकी है। ओके, दिस इज वन थिंग। द सेकंड थिंग इज कोई भी ऐसी फील्ड बची नहीं है जहाँ कंपटीशन नहीं है, तो आपको मार्केटिंग में तो बहुत ही इन्वेस्ट करना है। ओके, सो आई विल शो यू वन, आई विल जस्ट मेक अ फिगर ओवर हियर। लेट्स से ये आपकी टोटल कॉस्ट है of a product. Okay, so it has got some components. One is production component, one is marketing component, and one is logistics. Logistics, you can say, is logistics the which are not related to the directly machine. मतलब आपने मशीन में तो क्या रॉ मटेरियल डालेंगे, आपने प्रोड्यूस किया, आपका प्रोडक्शन हो गया, उसके अराउंड जो भी एक्टिविटीज होती हैं वो सब लॉजिस्टिक्स में या सप्लाई चेन में या इंडस्ट्रियल इंजीनियरिंग लिख देता हूं मैं यहाँ पे, ठीक है। ये एम जो है मार्केटिंग है, ये पी है प्रोडक्शन है, और आई जो है इंडस्ट्रियल इंजीनियरिंग एक्टिविटीज है। प्रोडक्शन इज रिलेटेड विद द हार्डकोर एक्टिविटीज, जो मतलब आपने मटेरियल लिया, उसको मशीन में डाला, उसको प्रोड्यूस किया, ठीक है, ये आपका प्रोडक्शन हो गया। बट इंडस्ट्रियल इंजीनियरिंग अबाउट सिस्टम्स के ये प्रोड्यूस करना कैसे है, उसके अराउंड जो एनवायरमेंट है उसको कैसे डिजाइन करना है। ये मार्केटिंग क्या है? मार्केटिंग कॉस्ट कम नहीं हो रही है, इट इज ओनली गोइंग अप बिकॉज ऑफ द कॉम्पिटिशन। कोई भी ऐसी फील्ड बची नहीं है जहां पे देयर इज नो कंपटीशन, सो यू हैव टू इन्वेस्ट नाउ more in competition than ever to exhibit the USP of your product and all. And industrial engineering ही ऐसी जो फील्ड बची है जहां पे आजकल इंडस्ट्रीज कॉम्पीट कर सकती हैं। Okay, so what do you think this artificial intelligence is doing to how it is helping in the production? It is basically, this artificial intelligence is actually helping a lot. I mean, helping a lot in solving the industrial engineering issues in the industry. So that's why I will also brief you. बाद में आपको और बताएंगे, कुछ और चीजें हैं. So I'll not. Many things you are going to learn in the presentations, the books which I have given you. So this is the scientific management principle. Okay. So there are 4 principles of scientific management. Anyway, I'm going to take these 4 principles in the next class. Then for now, you have anything regarding your presentations, or you would like to talk about anything regarding that? Because from 22nd we'll be starting it, and try to make it. And how am I going to evaluate it? Let me tell you about that. So there'll be few components in the evaluation. One is synchronization of your presentations. So I recommend that you do some rehearsal, all the complete group, that anyone can.
वॉइस ब्रेक हो गई, एक बार रिपीट कर दोगे क्या प्लीज?
हाँ.
आपकी वॉइस ब्रेक हो गई थी, एक बार रिपीट कर दोगे क्या प्लीज?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that there are some points regarding the presentation, the group presentation I'll be giving importance to, like synchronization of the groups, how they are synchronized. ऐसा नहीं एक जना ने खत्म किया, दूसरे जने ने जब स्टार्ट करना है उसको प्रेजेंटेशन, तो उसको कंटिन्यूटी में लेना है. उसने जहां छोड़ा उसको वहीं से ही स्टार्ट होना चाहिए. समझ रहे हैं? वो ऐसी मूवी नहीं होनी चाहिए कि वो होता है ना, एक मूवी में 7-8 अलग अलग सेपरेट एपिसोड्स होते हैं बट दे आर नॉट कनेक्टेड विद ईच अदर. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. जो भी जहां प्रेजेंटेशन छोड़ता है उसके बाद जो नेक्स्ट स्टार्ट करता है वो उसको कंटिन्यूटी में लेके आए. सो सिंक्रोनाइजेशन आई एम गोइंग टू सी द ब्रेथ मतलब कि आपने बुक कंप्लीटनेस कितनी है बुक की. आपने ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि आप 3-3 चैप्टर बीच में छोड़ दें या एक चैप्टर बीच में छोड़ दिया, किसी ने पढ़ा नहीं. सो आई विल लुक एट दैट. ऑफ कोर्स योर प्रेजेंटेशन स्किल्स, where you have to make sure that none of us gets bored. हमको नींद नहीं आनी चाहिए. आप बोले जा रहे हैं वहां पे और हमको नींद आ रही है. That should not happen. You have to keep us engaged in that. You can use photographs, you can use videos also to associate with yourself, associate book, because largely most of the books are related with the real life. Okay. So these are the main things, and also one additional thing that I'm going to ask is that you have to make 20 questions, each one of you, from your book or the presentation. So once your presentation is complete, you have to send me 20 objective questions. And those questions, those things you should have they should be part of your presentation. You should have said about them or talked about them. ऐसा नहीं बुक में से कहीं से भी उठा के आप दे देंगे 20 questions. Am I clear? Okay,
Can
so
you please elaborate on the
क्या था,
last
एक बार
point?
रिपीट करना प्लीज.
ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस बनाने 20 क्वेश्चंस अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन में से.
सर हमको खुद को बनाने हैं और फिर हमसे ही पूछोगे आप?
नहीं, मैं आपसे नहीं पूछूंगा, मैं सबसे पूछूंगा. ये आपकी क्विज का पार्ट होएगा. ये जो एक क्वेश्चन बैंक बनेगा, आई मीन ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम द क्वेश्चन बैंक इज गोइंग टू गेट बिल्ट अप, एंड दिस आई मीन आई एम गोइंग टू क्विज यू फ्रॉम दीस क्वेश्चंस. सो आपने दी है प्रेजेंटेशन, आपको पता होगा, बट आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन दूसरों ने सुनी है नहीं सुनी, हाउ मच दे हैव लर्नड, दैट विल बी जज्ड फ्रॉम दीस क्वेश्चंस.
Sir,
Am I clear?
Every member of the group will have to prepare that 20 questions.
No, the complete group has to give me 20 questions.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I'm opening the attendance sheet now.
सर ये थर्ड पॉइंट क्या
सर ओपन करने से पहले ही लग गई अटेंडेंस तो.
Third point is presentation skills.
Okay, sir.
That is, I mean, individual also. So these 4 points are there, and there'll be one overall presentation part where your group will be getting evaluated. Okay. And individually, synchronization, breadth, and presentation skill are individual points. It's not like पूरे group के same number आने वाले.
So 30 to 40 minutes.
In 45 minutes is the target. क्लास में एक बुक का होना चाहिए, right? That's what.
Okay, sir.
तो आपने ये प्रेजेंट लगाने वाला ओपन नहीं किया और उससे पहले ही प्रेजेंट लग गई.
हाँ, I don't know. जैसे ही मैं इसको शीट को I am not given the permission also right now. But जैसे ही मैं create करता हूँ ये तो it gets open. Now if I'm going to delete it. Now try to edit it. Are you able to edit it?
सर मोड ऑफ प्रेजेंटेशन इंग्लिश ही रखना है या फिर मिक्स हो सकता है?
It should be interesting. It should be interesting. So I mean, like completely Hindi भी नहीं होना चाहिए, completely English भी नहीं होना चाहिए. I mean, there are all sort of people here.
Okay, sir.